Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope you all have had a restful weekend. Today we're going to be discussing baggage. Baggage can be interpreted in different ways. Like there's emotional baggage that can be brought to relationships. There can be physical baggage, like probably you're thinking of the luggages that can be brought in, things like that. Today we're going to be talking about like the type of baggage that you hold on to after conflict. So I'm more so referring to like grudges or after there's some type of conflict, you just hold on to that for a few days, few months, or, sometimes even forever. And in the last couple of episodes, we have discussed the importance of watching our words and making sure that what we are saying is not negatively impacting the other person. So we're going to discuss conflict and how we should try to resolve those conflicts in healthy ways. There's going to be times that you disagree with a friend or disagree with a family member. And sometimes when you have those really bad arguments, it can become very toxic. And after the argument is over, I feel like there's this period of time, depending on how bad the argument is, I feel like there is this period of time where you just kind of hold on to what was said during the arguments. And when you hold on to that, when you hold on to those words, which I'm not saying that some people are not valid for doing that, because like I said in a previous episodes, words can hurt. But when we hold on to those things, sometimes we treat the person that we argued with differently. And it creates a tension that is noticeable among everyone else in the vicinity. So if you're living in a house and you say, for instance, got into a bad argument with your parent and you hold on to that tension, it can also affect the other residents in the home. For instance, your sibling or, a grandparent or something like that. And then when you vent to the other people in the house, it can create a situation where the other person is forced to choose sides. And I'm not saying it is a bad thing to vent, but when we vent, we shouldn't try to be forceful in a way to make the other person feel they have to choose sides because it puts them in an awkward position, which is not fair for them to be in. So when you have these arguments with this person, say for instance, you argued about something family related with your parent, it is important for us to be mindful of the words that we're using because some words can stick with someone for a long period of time. And some people, it's not just as easy for them to just get over it, by just a snap of a finger. It takes time. And even if you go back and apologize and say, hey, you know what? What I said to you the other day was wrong. Would you forgive me? There's nothing wrong with saying that, but we have to remember that there is repercussions for our actions. And just because we may say the words, I forgive you, it doesn't mean that we forget what was said to us in that time. So it's important to be careful with how we treat others, how we handle and resolve conflict. And we should also try not to pin other family members against the person that we had conflict with. And I've definitely seen this in friendships that I've had or friendships that I have where they will be describing arguments that they've had with their parent, and what they do is go vent to the sibling, but when they vent, they are trying to put the other sibling against the parent, which isn't right. It's just going to create a more toxic environment in the household, and we shouldn't be doing that. Our goal should be trying to create a better environment for everyone in the family, not just for ourselves, but for everyone in the family. And the best way that we can do this is to try to let go of the hurt. And when I say let go, that sounds a lot easier said than done. But let me just tell you a few ways that I've handled it, and then you'll probably understand why I say let go. When I say let go, I'm not meaning just forget everything that was said. But when I say let go, what I mean is that you leave it in God's hands. And when you leave it in God's hands, you just pray. You just ask the Lord to take that resentment or whatever it is that you're feeling out of your heart and replace it with love and joy, because we need to remember that we have hurt Jesus on multiple occasions. People in the Bible have betrayed Jesus over and over and over again, and he still had his arms open for everyone, including us. And so, those of us that are Christians, when we get into these types of conflicts, it is okay to be upset for a few days. It is okay to take time, even if it's a month. Even if it's a little longer than that, it is okay to take the time. But when we let go, we're not particularly forgetting what has happened, but as time goes on, we slowly start to change our behavior towards towards the person that we conflicted with. We slowly start to go about our weeks in a normal manner. And you can do this by talking to someone that you trust. Like, say, for instance, you're not a Christian. Talk to someone that you trust. Go to a friend. Go to a family member. But without gossiping about the person, just tell them how it is that you're feeling. Express how the argument went with that person. And then maybe the other person can give you some counsel. But sometimes just talking it out can be the counsel that we need. And also, if you aren't a Christian, just try to go out, take some time for yourself. Go spend time with a friend outside of the household or outside of the environment where you had all the conflict. Just take that mental break, debrief from everything. And I'm sure that as time goes on, you'll slowly start to feel less upset about the argument. Now, I'm not saying you'll forget it, but as time goes on, you will not be so angry about it, because sometimes conflicts can cause us to just be angry, and we can stay angry for a long period of time, and that's not even healthy for us. Just having that resentment and built up in our hearts, because we end up taking it out on other people that don't deserve it. Now, from the Christian perspective, if you're wanting to work on letting this go, go to your word. Go to your pastor at church. Go to a youth leader. Go to a young adults leader. Go to someone that you trust and that you can confide in. Tell them without gossiping. Tell them how it is that you're feeling. What do you think that they should know so they can potentially pray for you? Or you may just want to have some time alone with God. And this is when you just sit somewhere in a quiet space, you meditate, you read your word, you pray, and then you start to shift your focus to other things that aren't the argument. Because letting go of baggage, that's going to help us more so than it's going to help the person that we're conflicting with. Now, yes, it'll change how we treat the person, but in reality, when we let go of baggage, we just start to feel different. There was a time I was upset with a family member, and when I'm upset, I kind of group myself into the types of people I was discussing earlier, where I'll start to treat the person differently, especially if I feel the apology that was given to me was not genuine, if I even got an apology, or if I have not forgotten the phrase or the words that were said to me within the argument. Now, there's been times that I've gotten upset with a family member. I was upset about it all throughout the week. And then I just woke up because I made plans with some people and I was getting closer to a trip that I was going on. I woke up at the beginning of the week in a different mood. And it's because I had something to look forward to. And so, me having something to look forward to, it shifted my focus away from the conflict and it shifted it towards something positive, something that was going to help me, whether I had the conflict or not. And so I woke up at the beginning of the week in a completely different mood, and everyone was confused because they were like, "Weren't you just angry yesterday?" Yes, I was, but that's what God does for you. And excuse my electronics. That's what God does for you. He opens up doors for you, and He makes it easier for you to be able to rely on Him in these times of conflict. You won't be so upset about some argument that you had with your mom, dad, sister, or brother because you've given all of your frustrations and all your worries to God. So when I woke up in that good mood, I started setting goals for myself. I said, you know what, this week I'm going to try not to even talk about that conflict at all with anyone. And if it's brought up, I'm going to respond in a healthy manner, but I'm not going to hold a grudge against the person I conflicted with. Because honestly, I don't know if you all feel the same way, but holding grudges is draining. It can really be draining because sometimes if we hold grudges, we want to kind of distance from the person. But, and this may sound selfish, but this can be reality for some folks. But if we need the person to talk to, or if we need the person to, like, I don't know, plan something, but we're mad at them, we don't know how to approach the person because we don't want it to be seen as like we're using the person just to get what we want from them. So it can be draining because you got to think about all of that. And I'm saying this because I've been in this situation plenty of times and sometimes still go through it to this day. But holding a grudge can be draining. And so sometimes in situations, we have to choose to be the bigger person because we know that deep down inside, depending on the person, we know that they are not going to be the bigger person. So we have to take it upon ourselves and just try to make an effort to, reconcile. It doesn't mean you have to hug it out. Doesn't mean you have to go out for coffee, but it means at least clearing up the conflict, resolving it. And it may not be 100% resolved, but at least that you've made an effort. You can go out and extend your hand in apology and say, you know what? I know that probably what I said triggered an argument, or probably what I said was not the healthiest response to our discussion, but please forgive me and let's try to move forward in a positive way. And sometimes when we move forward, we have to choose to not discuss certain things with the person. Because I've had arguments with family members or friends, and after the argument, after we've reconciled, I just make a mental note and say, you know what? This is what I will not discuss with this person anymore. We just keep mental notes in our head and say, you know what? I'm sad that this argument happened, but at the same time, I'm glad it happened because it opened my eyes to what I can and cannot talk about with you. So keep that in mind. because some people can't take things well. Personally, I know some things I can't take well. When you start insulting my intelligence or insulting some part of me or trying to, I don't know, there's a lot of things that can irritate me, but insulting my intelligence is one thing that it's just, it really frustrates me. So whenever it happens, I don't take that well, and sometimes I take it out of context. I also don't like seeing other people being bullied. I don't take that well. So we all have our things where we can handle it in a healthy way, or we can't. But sometimes conflict opens up doors or opens up our eyes to see who we can go to and who we can't go to. And that's not toxic, but it just gives us clarity. I've discussed many episodes ago about, how I had this friendship that ended, and I smiled throughout the whole thing because it gave me clarity. Clarity can bring you so much joy. And that's why I was smiling. Because when you have clarification from God, and when you just feel that everything that you've done before that point, you felt you were making a mistake. But when you get clarification from God, it just makes you happy, because it just makes you think, you know what? I was right for thinking the way I was thinking. I was right for saying the things I said. I probably could have acted differently. I probably could have said this differently. But at the end of the day, it really gave me the clarity that I needed, because now I'm not in that situation anymore. And God prepares us for those things. So when you enter into conflict, you have to ask yourself, what is the goal? Am I wanting to mend this relationship? Am I wanting to keep this relationship? Am I wanting bad blood in between me and this person? Most of the time, the answer is no. But if the relationship is already hanging by a thread, you probably don't care as much, But if it's someone that you truly care about, you're not going to try to say anything or do anything to hurt them. And I just know that every time I get into a really bad argument with a friend or a family member that I really, really care about, I always feel terrible after. Now, sometimes I get in arguments with people I don't, but when it's someone that you care about, it's just hard, because you don't want to have bad blood between you and that person. You want everything to be just perfect and happy and rainbows and lollipops. But in reality, that's not always the case. You have to prepare your heart and your mind for conflict. Not everyone is going to agree with you. Not everyone is going to see you eye to eye. You have to be prepared that someone is going to dislike the things you say, dislike the things you do. But we have to decide, how are we going to go about these disagreements? Are we going to handle it in a way to preserve the relationship? Or are we just not going to care because we don't care about the person? So we just do or say whatever we want because there's nothing worth saving. Ask yourself those things. And whenever you're in a conflict with someone, try not to hold on to those grudges. Because like I said, grudges it can be draining. It's best to just go to someone, go to church, talk to your pastor, talk to someone that you trust. That's what I do. I don't really trust a lot of people, but the very few people that I do trust, I know that they will not go behind my back and twist my words, or they will not try to hold what I said to them against me, or they will not go and basically tell the person that I was talking about. So, we just got to be careful who we trust when we're venting. And we got to be careful that we're not gossiping when we vent, because we don't want to stir up more toxicity. So whenever you had these conflicts, think about the result. Don't just think about what's going on in the conflict, but think about after. Do I want to save this relationship? Do I want to keep it? Or do I not care enough about the relationship? So that makes me feel that I can say and do whatever I want. We got to be careful how we treat people. We got to be careful with the words that we use and the things that we do, because words can have a long lasting impact on someone's life. And we do not want to tarnish a relationship forever. So I hope you all have learned something from the episode, and please leave your comments down below letting me know what you would like for me to discuss in future episodes. And there will be some political episodes out soon, and I will post more information about that on my Instagram, which I will link in the description. And please DM me with any ideas, or if you just want to have a discussion about something that is personal to you. Remember, the DMs are a no judgment zone, so feel free to leave comments down in the DMs or the comments down below. I hope you have a great rest of your day and take care.